Good morning, everyone, and I'd like to thank you for joining us today at the Building Trades and Businesses webinar. We've got a great list of presenters here today to talk to you about local interagency network coordinators, disabled veteran business enterprise programs, and the Department of Industrial Relations. We're going to talk about some different resources and tools and people that are out there to directly assist you in building trades and out there building your business. So let me start off this morning by welcoming all of you here today and going over just a couple of housekeeping items. As you heard from my counterpart, we are recording this webinar, and we want you just to be advised that this meeting is being recorded and your consent is required. So participation in the meeting will act as your acknowledgement for the recording. We have your cameras and mics off, so that way it helps control the bandwidth. And whenever you see us talking about registering for emails or registering for different things, we ask that you do use a non-DoD email address, because we want to make sure that we can contact you throughout your, as you're doing different things, because we understand that email addresses and positions change over time. So a quick overview of the agenda today. We're going to talk to Anthony, who's our local interagency network coordinator down from Los Angeles. And we're going to talk to some Danielle and Cherie from the Disabled Veterans Business Enterprise Program. And Charles is going to be here from the Department of Industrial Relations, the California Division of Apprenticeship Standards. There's also going to be some questions and answers after the end of this webinar. What we do ask, though, is that you refrain from using the chat feature. There's a question and answer box on the lower right side of your computer that we ask you to use. We want to use the chat resource today to be able to give you different resources, to give you different links that you can click on, and to provide you with different information that you can download. So if you have questions, please direct them towards the question and answer panel. And like I said before, we'll have an opportunity at the end of the webinar to go over everyone's questions in more detail. This is a California Transition Assistance Program overview. My name is Sean Campbell, and I work with the California Transition Assistance Program. I'm a Navy veteran myself. I did 7 years as a hospital corpsman. I had a great time working with the Marines and the Navy. My best friends in the Air Force. My father-in-law was in the Air Force, so I have a lot of people in my family. My oldest son just got out of the Marine Corps. So working with veterans and service members on active duty and their families, it's something that I find personally really important, because there's a lot of benefits and resources that we're not aware of, and it gives me a great opportunity to discuss those with people. And that's really what we want to do today. You got a great group of people who want to provide you with a lot of good information. So when you are talking about CalTAPs, sometimes it can be kind of confusing. So CalTAPs is actually designed to inform and connect veterans of all eras to their earned federal and state benefits, as well as provide continued support and assistance, because needs change over time. And we've kind of identified 5 different pathways: core curriculum, education, employment, entrepreneurship, and the other one's going to be service providers. And when we're talking about those pathways, you can go to our website, which is calvet.ca.gov. And our website is a really awesome tool. It provides you with this 24/7 access to information regarding benefits, services. And if you are utilizing our website, you can actually see the CalTAP that's highlighted here. You can use that to drive directly to our portal. And from our portal, you can link into the 5 pathways that I talked about: core curriculum, education, employment, entrepreneurship, and service providers. The awesome thing about these 5 pathways is that these are self-paced training modules with videos, training materials, PDFs, and they talk about services, benefits, resources, just a wide variety of information. And because it is self-paced, you can kind of pick and choose what you need the most at the moment and run through that to really enhance your personal knowledge. So The employment pathway is designed to help veterans enter or re-enter the civilian workforce. It provides information on training, and it talks about the translation of skill assessment, understanding of veteran strengths and weaknesses, and the development of strategies to help veterans stand out from the crowd during the job seeking process. One of the things that sometimes we forget is that a lot of these new programs that people are using to screen through a lot of the applications, they're looking for specific wording, they're looking for specific things, and having a good understanding of what those things are will help you not just highlight yourself, but highlight the different ways in which we can maximize our opportunity for the employers out there to see us. And we'll highlight the different ways in which veterans you can obtain employment with the state of California and the United States government. The CalTAP employment pathway talks about 8 different modules. And as I said before, the self-paced learning modules where you can look at different things, whether it be federal employment, state employment. And today we're going to talk in detail about apprenticeship and on-the-job training. When you go into module 8, which talks about apprenticeship and on-the-job training, the lessons that are in there are highlighted here on the lower side of the screen. Talks about different opportunities, understanding what apprenticeships are, and really getting a good understanding for those on-the-job training opportunities. If you take a moment though and look to your right, you can see where it says My CalVet. If you have a moment to create an account, if you don't have one, using a non-DoD email address and register, so that way you can get on our roster and receive updates. It's something I always recommend. Other modules include ways to highlight your skills and career values, translating your military experience into civilian equivalents, tips on building effective resumes and how to really begin your job search, defining what your goals are. Techniques can help you ace the interview and determine if a company is actually a good fit for you, and information on assistance program and application processes for government jobs. Some veteran employment highlights that we like to talk about. According to the United States Department of Veterans Affairs, about 55% of the transitioning veterans want to do something totally different than what they did in the military. And veteran employment and healthcare support occupations has increased since the start of the pandemic. Employment gains for veterans were also seen among the grounds cleaning, installation, maintenance, repair, and some other local occupations. Some current trends that we've seen: unemployment rates for veterans have increased in 2020. And this is something that's reflecting the entire COVID pandemic. So it's not just veterans, it's just a reflection of the United States as a whole. And the largest net losses in employment occurred within the professional and technical services, construction, public administration. A lot of the businesses and facilities were closed. The largest 12-month gains were seen in the finance and insurance, right? Mining, retail trade, real estate, rental and leasing, and educational service industries. Some benefits and programs that are out there. California has the college tuition fee waiver, and this is something where the dependents of veterans with the service rated disability of 0 or higher can have their tuition fees waived at any California state-sponsored school, whether it's a community college, California State University, or University of California. The Department of Motor Vehicles has a wide variety of programs as well. Everything from having the veterans designation placed on your driver's license or your identification card, to having specific license plates with specific iconography. They've got a list of, I want to say 65 or 75 different things that you can put on your license plate. And all of those funds for those programs go directly back into veteran services. If you are a veteran who's got a service-connected disability that directly affects your mobility at a certain percentage rate, you can be eligible for the DMV to waive the fees for registration for one of your vehicles as well. California's got a lot of great outdoor activities. I went snowboarding with my family yesterday. One of the things that California does is the Department of Parks and Recs has a distinguished veterans pass. And Department of Fish and Wildlife, they have special days that they reserve for hunting and fishing just for veterans and service members. Additionally, you can also look into discounted rates for disabled veterans. There are 58 different counties in the state of California, so I don't even pretend to be the expert on tax programs for each of those, but you really want to talk to your county assessor's office and look into the different tax programs that the counties have for veterans and active duty service members as well. CalVet Home Loans, this is an awesome program where the state of California becomes the actual financial lender. CalVet Home Loans is different from a VA home loan, and you can use both of those loans together at the same time, maximizing your opportunity to find that home of your dreams. So it's something that as a California resident and a veteran, we want to make sure that you're aware those programs are out there for you. CalVet also operates a women's veteran division and a minority veteran division. And both of those divisions offer outreach, advocacy, counseling, and a wide variety of services to women and minority veterans. In addition to all of these things, California also operates 8 long-term care facilities within the state. And these are all income-based. And it really depends on the needs of the different, because it's skilled nursing and assisted living facilities. And these facilities are recognized on a national level as providing some of the highest levels of care throughout the United States. California has state cemeteries, in addition to the Veterans Administration having federal cemeteries that they operate and monitor for veterans and their families. The state of California has 3 different cemeteries that they operate for veterans as well. One of them is specific to the residents of a specific home care facility, but the other 2 are open for you to look into different eligibility when that time comes. Some common veteran websites that we really like to discuss and talk about. Number 1 is va.gov. This is an excellent 24/7 access for veterans because the VA really has 4 different missions. Healthcare, making sure that veterans are linked to the benefits that they get, running national cemeteries, and making sure that we're preparing the nation's readiness. And this website really gives you the ability to manage and track a lot of those things all at the same time. The other one is Ebenefits. This is a website that's operated by both the Department of Defense and the VA. So this is something that service members, veterans, families, and healthcare providers can all use together and work to answer different questions and work with different veterans and their families. My Healthy Vet, this website is something that is a tool so that way you can provide a higher level of health for yourself. And it's got a vast database with medical knowledge. They said it's got like 18 million pages, something crazy like that. But it's just something, the tool to help you with your pharmacy needs, setting appointments, getting messages from your medical physicians and other healthcare professionals, and managing your health records. And by combining this all into one source, it really empowers you to take care of your healthcare needs. I said this a little bit earlier, but I want to make sure that I reiterate the importance of using a non-DoD email. We do ask that you take a moment to fill out the webinar survey at the end of the webinar. We all really appreciate that. And I showed you guys a little bit earlier, but the register for the My CalVet on CalVet's homepage. Give us a like on Facebook, add us to Facebook. There are numerous webinars that we offer throughout the different months, and a lot of them are theme-based, depending on what's going on for that month. We encourage you to attend those webinars and get the information out there about the benefits and services that you've earned. If you go back to our California Transition Assistance Program homepage, you can see the direct ability to register with that non-DoD email address for benefits and services. And this will also allow you to get a copy of our monthly newsletter. And the monthly newsletter is just a great way to stay connected. It's full of great information, and each month's got a different focus on webinars with, for example, this one gives October's, and they were talking about awareness about different illnesses and exposures. So there's a lot of great things that are out there for you to learn about and grow with these types of webinars. Here is my direct contact information. And if you have any questions after the presentation that hits you up later, by all means, let us know. And I'm happy to get you all the information that I can and point you in the right direction to get the benefits and services that you've earned. I really appreciate your time. And I'll take this moment to turn the presentation over to Anthony, our local interagency network coordinator. How you doing today, Anthony?
I'm doing great. It's a pleasure to be here. Great job, Sean. And can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Well, thank you all for having me today. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I do. First of all, I am one of those Marines that used to work with Sean. We loved our corpsmen. We used to call them Doc, and they're great partners. And I personally appreciate all the stuff that Sean did while he was active duty. But in my capacity, I was in the Marine Corps 8 years and was primarily stationed in the East Coast in amphibious assault battalion out there. But my position now is I'm a local interagency network coordinator for CalVet. And let me tell you a little bit about this position and what I do. Next page, please. In my position, I'm one of 8 individuals. Another potential title for us would be regional field agent, but I'm one of 8 individuals who cover the entire state of California. My particular area happens to be the lower turquoise area, where I cover the state of, or rather the county of Los Angeles and the county of Ventura. And I have responsibility in approximate numbers for nearly 300,000 veterans who live in that area. All of the other links on this map have, roughly the same amount of numbers in terms of the number of veterans that we serve. We do also all live in our respective areas, and our job is to really connect as best we can with the services should we get a call from one of you to help you with what you may need. But as you can see on the chart, on the map here, we have an individual that covers the San Diego Imperial County area. We have someone in Orange County. We have an individual that covers the Inland Empire all the way up to the Mono County area. We have an individual that covers the Central Valley, an individual that covers the Central Coast, someone that covers the General Bay area, and then the Northern California area. Next page, please. In our positions, we do a lot of outreach. So we actually do make calls. Many of us make calls on the respective military bases. We provide outreach to active duty members who are about to separate. We also talk to veterans who are at National Guard and Reserve units, as well as many institutions that employ veterans. So I often will speak at the maybe a fire department, sheriff department, police department, or with other nonprofit agencies like the American Legion or Veterans of Foreign Wars or so forth. Our job, as I mentioned, is to make referrals and to assist a veteran or their family with specific needs related to the veteran. So our common question is, how do I file a service-connected disability claim? Or if an individual passes on, sometimes the family members will call because they want to have the individual buried on a cemetery, a national or state cemetery, so we'll call for assistance. Additionally, we work and we're all members of the California State Office of Emergency Services. So in my particular area that you saw on the map, if there was a fire, as there have been recently, I would be called up to participate in that program, whereby my sole job would be to provide information and care for veterans during that emergency. Additionally, we all belong and participate in a number of community activities, associations, collaboratives, where we provide leadership and information or perspective from the state's view. Next page. We work with a number of different agencies in a number of different categories. So as you can see on this chart, we help with EDD. We work with EDD for employment in the America's Job Centers, but often there are a number of nonprofit employment agencies which we work with. We also work with the state of California county arm, which is the CVSO, the County Veteran Service Offices. And they're the actual ones that do the service-connected claims and the locations for other state benefits like the driver's license that says veteran or the license plate for disabled veterans. We know often and work with very commonly the VA medical centers, the clinics, the community-based outreach clinics. We also work with the Veteran Business Administration side, the side that does the benefits. So many times we have contacts with employment, rather with the education folks. Additionally, we work with other nonprofits that work maybe with mental health. So we have mental health, housing, employment, lots of different areas, according to the needs of the veterans. Next page, please. So if you in your respective area need help or are looking for somebody that may know of someone that could provide help, I encourage you to call your local LINC, your local interagency network coordinator. This is my cell number and my email address, and I'd be happy to help you with anything or direct you where you may need. So appreciate your time, and I'll turn it back over to Sean. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. That was awesome. I'd like to take a moment now to introduce Danielle and Cherie, who work with the Disabled Veteran Business Enterprise Unit, and they're going to give you some great information about the benefits and services that and the hard work that they do for the veterans here.
Thank you, Sean. I'm going to kick it off for myself and Daniel. Daniel will speak on the tail end of our time here. If you have any questions, I know that Daniel and I are going to go over quite a bit of information and resources for our presentation. So thank you again all for joining us, but definitely drop them in the chat. We'll be happy to answer them or circle back later to cover that. Go ahead and go next page. Thank you. Okay, so roles and responsibilities for the DVBE unit. A little structure thing is myself and Daniel, we're actually housed within the Veteran Services Division within CalVet. So we work closely alongside with our Deputy Secretary, Keith Boylan, as an extension from our secretary, who serves as the state DVBE advocate. Now that's also just to outline that there are advocates throughout each awarding state department, which is separate. I would say that we are the prime contact for any kind of state issues for the DVBE program. We help field those questions. We also serve as co-chair to the DVBE Advisory Council. It's composed of 6 members of the DVBE community who are either DVBE business owners or veteran service business organizations. We ask that for their feedback or their opinions on different subject matters that affect the DVBE community, so that we are engaging with a very specific community to understand the needs and resources and input from them. We support all state agencies, as I noted, in striving to meet the 3% contracting goal and working with DVBEs. In addition to that, as I mentioned, with the council who we work with, they provide recommendations to the secretary to improve. We also have a survey called the Dvbe Request for Response. I won't go into further detail about it, but it's ways to get information on Dvbe certification, information, how to look for a prime. I'll yield that to Daniel later on in the presentation to go over where to find it and how to complete that. Next slide. So some of our other roles and responsibilities is we review and provide recommendations for exemption requests. So that has to do with if a DVBE has entered into a contract, however, they're unable to participate and a prime contractor or the awarding department would like to seek a different avenue. We review those requests to ensure that the due diligence has been done and that a DVBE has not been overlooked in the process. So that allows for there to be a kind of checks and balances to ensure that the best research practices have been put in place and that we acknowledge that the substitution has been reviewed and supported. In addition to that, we oversee or evaluate the DVB subcontract substitutions. We work hand in hand with the Department of General Services Office of Small Business, and Dvbe. We provide those recommendations directly to DGS, whether they be in support or in opportunity to continue to research other DVBEs that would be able to support the program or project. We also support advocates in locating DVBE vendors, along with prime contractors who are looking for DVBEs to subcontract with. Myself and Daniel, we outreach via the request for response or even direct email, which you will receive later on, dvbe@calvet.gov. Or yeah, if you have any questions, we can always help you with that. But we will always do our best to research. We utilize CalEProcure to research those who are registered as a certified DVBE firm to ensure that those folks are located in there. Next slide. So some of the resources that we provide for DVBEs is the CalTAP curriculum. It was noted earlier when Sean was talking about the 5 different areas of interest for CalTAP. CalTAP has a wonderful entrepreneurship segment and pathway. So I would highly suggest if you're developing or know anyone that would be interested in that, there's a bunch of different resources there to provide you with a good foundational support and kind of layout of understanding of what kind of state and federal resources that are available. Again, we have requests for response, which Daniel will go over shortly. And once again, the DVBE Advisory Council. Next slide. Our counterpart, which I mentioned earlier, is the Department of General Services Procurement Division, Office of Small Business and DVBE Services. We work hand in hand with them, and we pretty much talk every day in regards to all matters in regard to the DVBE program, whether that is improving the certification program, if anybody has any questions or need assistance, or if there's anything going on as far as concerns from the DVBE community. In addition to that, if there's any kind of upcoming contract opportunities or any kind of feedback that's necessary, we provide that to them. As I mentioned earlier, CalEProcure is the method of the online portal system for you to procure with the state. That's also where you will become certified and where you submit all your information. It's crucial there with CalEProcure to have all your UNSPSC codes up to date, which allows you to be searchable in the portal. So there's different tutorials that are on actual CalEProcure on how to navigate the website appropriately. And then there's also a tutorial on certification. But myself and Daniel are also here to assist you in that. And Daniel will actually go over the requirements for the DVB as well. Next slide, please. And then lastly, for another opportunity for us is the SBA. So the SBA offers great resources as far as where you can find resources locally, whether that be in your city or even within your county. There's a lot of different VBOCs or scores. So business mentorship, development, and funding opportunities can all be found on this website. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to my counterpart here, Daniel Bates. He will continue on with letting you know about the DVBE certification requirements.
All right, thank you. Next slide, please. All right, so the DVBE requirements. So it's specific for the state of California. There is a federal certification as well, but for the state of California, you must be a veteran, be part of the U.S. military, naval, or air services. You must have 10% rating or higher. The veteran must reside in California, and the business must be in California as well. The catch is that the veteran has to be 51% owner of the company, unless it's an LLC. If it's an LLC, it has to be 100% owned by a disabled veteran. Now, if that is 3 disabled veterans own the business together, that's fine. If it's 1, that's fine. But if it's a disabled veteran and their significant other, the veteran must own 51% of a company unless it's an LLC. So if you are a veteran and the spouse co-owners, then the LLC is not the answer for you. Next slide, please. Okay, so the Dvb certification benefits. So the benefits are the state has to procure 3% of all contracting with DVBEs. So the state spends between $8 to $13 billion every year. Now 3% of that is quite a bit of money. So that has to be spent with DVBEs. And then most contracts have to go out for bid, but if you're a DVBE, advocates in state departments can go direct to you for up to a penny less than $250,000 for goods or services. And then if you are doing more of, I would say, construction of public works, they can go up to $333,000, non-competitive. So if they are aware of your company and they want to reach out to you and say, hey, can you provide this good service to us for $100,000? And if you said yes, then you get the contract. It's non-competitive. Most businesses would have to go competitively. So those are the two biggest perks of being registered with the state of California. Next slide, please. Okay, so the Dvbe certification is housed on DGS website. You would have to go to dgs.ca.gov and then click on the programs, and you go to the procurement division, and you can find the certification program. We also house it on our website as well, or you can email us and we can get you in contact with certification officers at DGS. Next slide, please. So the Department of General Services has a really good webinar. It's a 3-part webinar series, and it's everything to do with contracting with the state of California. This is good for just anyone that is wanting to learn about the contracting process with the state of California, but especially good for companies that are going to be certified. You can be certified as a small business. You can be certified as a DVBE as long as you meet the requirements. And a micro business as well, as long as you meet the requirements. And that's everything that they'll describe everything in the webinar and how to do business with the state of California. And then once you get certified, I'm certified now, what's the next steps? You're going to learn all of that. And then the final process, contracting with the state of California. It's great information, and it's also, they'll have a counterpart on the presentation. It could be SCORE, VBOG, another county program. Somebody is always there, and they go over all the resources that are out there. If you need funding, they can refer you to the SBA, which will refer you to all these funding sources. Now, that's not free money, but that is, they can get you in contact with people, with organizations that can help fund your startup. Next slide, please. Now, the Dvbe request for response. This is the way to get a hold of Shri, myself, or if you have a higher issue, to go up to the advisory council and to the state Dvbe advocate. This is a great resource. We house it on our website. You can read about our program on the Dvbe site. Each response is reviewed by Shri or myself. And depending on the level of response, we could raise it up within management, or if it's an easy answer, we can respond and provide any information or resources needed. So this is a great resource to utilize. I would just recommend everybody to save this webpage, make it a favorite. And if this is the process that you want to go in, we can help you find training. We can help you find anything and everything to start a business. All the resources out there. Next slide, please. Okay, So that's everything to do with the DVBE program at Calvet. And I know that was just a brief explanation. There's a lot more to DVBE. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email us, or you can utilize that request for a response. It's a short survey, and we will respond to that very quickly, either way you want to reach out to us. All right, well, thank you very much, everybody. And Sean, pass it to you.
Thank you, Danielle and Sharif. Thank you very much. That was awesome. The next person that's coming up is going to be Charles with the California Division of Apprenticeship Standards. Good morning, Charles. How are you doing today?
Good, good. How you doing today, Sean?
I'm excellent.
Good, good. So thanks for the introduction. Again, my name is Charles Richards. I'm a retired Sergeant Major, U.S. Army, completed 36 years. And now I have the fortunate to work for the state of California, developing and assisting individuals with apprenticeship programs. So all of you that are online today, I'm here to help you out, you know, to choose a career or to get started or to continue down a career path you've been interested in. And I want to explain a little bit about apprenticeship in California. You're really very lucky. California is the state with the highest number of apprenticeship programs and apprentices than any other state in the US. So you can actually take the top 4 states that are out there, excluding California, and we have more apprentices than they do combined. So California has really pushed apprenticeship and supports it wholeheartedly. And today we're going to talk about it. So next slide. So what does apprenticeship look like? And you know, currently California has just over 91,000 registered apprenticeships in all the different trades and occupations out there. There's 36,000 participating employers in some form or another in an apprenticeship program. We work with over 300 active educational institutions, which would be your community colleges, adult education, and county offices of education. So we have a good partnership with all of those factors. And then also annually, there's approximately about 8,000 individuals graduate an apprenticeship program. And that number is even higher right now. Next slide. So what does apprenticeship really look like? And so a lot of people, when they think apprenticeship, they always think unions, they always think the building trades, but absolutely that is not correct. So apprenticeship programs can be unions, which they've been very strong, and they're very good programs because they've been putting together apprenticeship and running apprenticeship programs for 100 years or longer. Apprenticeship's been around for thousands of years, but the unions have really picked up on it and devoted a lot of time and effort on developing good apprenticeship programs in the trades. But now we're really expanding into other avenues, and those avenues are things like healthcare, information technology, advanced manufacturing, civil service jobs within the state and county and cities. We're also helping them develop their programs. And then we're also getting into business, which is insurance companies and also CPAs or bookkeeping. So we're really expanding the apprenticeship models into other areas. Next slide. So as you can see here from this slide is that you can really take a look and see all the different things that are out there that are no longer just associated with the trades and unions. These are other things that we're really working on to expand. And just for some of these things, you can see that, you know, information technology, there's IBM, the SLO partners, Lockheed Martin, healthcare, we're working with Dignity Health, Kaiser, Sutter. The public sector, state of California has really come on, and we've really helped develop many programs for the state itself to help train individuals to take the next higher level job. Again, with counties and cities working on that, and then advanced manufacturing, Tesla and Ernest and Julio Gallo wineries, and then also financial services, as I said before. So next slide. So what makes up an apprenticeship program? So really, apprenticeships, when you get down to it, only have two components. The first component is on-the-job training, your OJT, and then classroom instruction. That's really an apprenticeship program. Next slide. So classroom instruction. This is the area where what we call related and supplemental instruction for a particular occupation or a trade. And in there, you really get the theory behind that particular occupation. The training is actually validated by a college or county office of education or a local school district. So you know the training really is good training relating to that occupation. And in some cases, even the employers or the state of California will even pay for your hours that you're actually in a classroom learning it. So an example would be the carpenters. The carpenters program, since you have to attend classes over a solid week of training, you can apply for and receive your unemployment benefits for that entire week while you're sitting in a classroom learning about that trade. Next slide. The second part of that, and the most important, is on-the-job training. So on-the-job training, again, part of our job is to validate the work process, to make sure that they're in line with that particular occupation. So again, it's overseen by the employer itself, and you're always mentored by an individual within that occupation. So they're there to making sure you're doing everything correctly and following the correct procedures needed. Nice thing too about on-the-job training, as your instructional education increases and your hours on the job increases, you also get really nice step increases in pay. So again, let's go back to the carpenters program. So in their particular program, as you complete a certain number of classes and you get a certain number of hours, and usually comes out to about 1,000 hours every 6 months, you get a nice step increase in pay. And so those are all paid time. That whole, your on-the-job training is all paid by the employer. And then you also receive, what's really good about being a veteran is that you also get to receive your veterans benefits while you're working on the job. So you get the double dip. You get paid by your employer, and the Veterans Administration also pays you while you're learning that trade or craft. Excellent program. Next slide. So what are the benefits? So again, if you're an apprentice in an apprenticeship program, you're going to earn while you're learning a trade or craft. You'll receive regular pay increases. You're going to have a formalized on-the-job training. You're going to be overseen by a mentor. You're also going to learn a lifelong skill, because that's what this is all about. And also you receive your VA benefits. For the employers, why do they support these types of programs? Well, because first off, usually they find is that when they support an apprentice and help train them, then employee loyalty is extremely high. There's a big reduction in the amount of turnover. They're also, what's nice too for the employer is that they don't have to pay you a journeyman wage or a highly skilled person's wage at the beginning. So there's a nice little step increase. As you gain more knowledge, then they will increase your pay. It also provides flexible workforce for the employers, because now they can take individuals that have a propensity to do a job, put them through an apprenticeship program, and then provide them with upscaled skills. And then plus it's a proven system of training. Like I said, over hundreds of years and thousands of years, really, apprenticeship programs have been around. Next slide. So what are the key things to remember about apprenticeship itself is one is that military careers are just like apprenticeship. It's exactly the same. You begin with a very basic knowledge. Over your career, though, you start advancing. They send you to advanced education. And with that, you put that to task. You learn on the job. And then as you get more and more skills, you gain more rank, which means more income. And then what's nice too is as soon as you begin your apprenticeship program, you start earning a wage. So there is no time. So if you started tomorrow, you'll pick up a wage tomorrow. Plus, you've also to apply for your veterans benefits at that time. And once they kick in, you'll get that double pay. You'll get a lifelong skills that you can use the rest of your career. And as my parents always told me, it never hurts to have more than one skill, so you can always fall back on something else. And then also, you know, apprenticeship is really a cohesive with education, because a lot of these programs, even in the construction trades, that individual doesn't stop then. They continue on, and a lot of individuals end up getting an engineering degree or other highly technical degrees that even advance their careers even further. Next slide. So how do you get started and how do you find the programs that are available? So here you go to our website, www.dir.ca.gov and the /DAS. And you look down to become an apprentice tab, and then you find available apprenticeship programs, and then you search by county and or occupation. So with that, I'm going to walk you through so you can see how to actually find an open program. Now, what I mean by open program is programs that are open to the general public. Some of those I showed you earlier in the other categories, such as IBM, Tesla, and some of those others, they're closed programs. Those programs are only open to current employees of those particular employers. So such as IBM, you have to be hired by IBM first. And then once IBM decides that they need more individuals in a particular occupation, then they'll select from their current employees and put them through an apprenticeship program to help them fill the required needs. However, what we're going to look at is the open programs. So next slide. So when you get to our website, this is what it looks like. And up on the top, you'll have some choices. Next slide. So there it is, apprenticeship. You'll want to click on that. Next slide. Then you'll come up to the Division of Apprenticeship Standards, and it says become an apprentice. Pretty easy. So you click on that. Next slide. Then how to become an apprentice. Gives you a great little blurb there on what apprenticeship is. And then you go down, you find available apprenticeship programs and click on that. Next slide. Then it'll pull up an available search. And in there, you can either search by county that you live in currently, or you expect to live in, or you really don't care. You can search the entire state and then look at the occupations. So next slide. So here I clicked on Sacramento County, and I've always been interested in surveyor because I started my career in the military in construction. So I want to see what's available in the Sacramento region. Next slide. So then it pulled up 3 different occupations: the chief of party, an instrument man, and then a rodman and chainman. So I wanted to run the instruments out on surveying. So I'm going to click on that. Next slide. And then it comes up and it says, here's your search results for instrument man. Tells me the length of the program, which is 24 months. And then starting wage. And it says depend upon contract area rate. Well, that's because most of these things are going to be public works jobs and depends upon which county you're in. which job you're on, is it may affect the rate of pay. But all these are, well, believe me, they're all well above minimum wage. Minimum age 18, is there an education requirement? It says none. However, though, what I would advise is that if you're looking for a particular career, especially like, let's say this one, an instrumentman, you know that mathematics is going to be a huge aspect of this particular occupation. So you'd want to really bone up on your mathematics, trigonometry, and algebra, because there's going to be a lot of that involved with this job. So when you actually go for an interview or take an exam, which it says down there, it says exams, a written test, yes. What do you think is going to be on that exam? So bone up on it, really understand what you're getting into. You can even call them and talk to them in depth about the position or what that job entails, and they'll provide you with that information. So as you go further down, any other physical requirements? No. What else? Additional prerequisites? Got to have a license, California driver's license, and then also contact information. Where's the program contact at? Now it says Alameda, and that just means that potentially that class or that instructional course may be in Alameda, which means you would, depends on where you live, you would have to actually physically go to Alameda for your educational pieces. Yet your jobs could be anywhere within the state of California, because it is construction. And remember, construction jobs are everywhere. So you can't expect that if you live in Ventura County that you're only going to work in Ventura County if you're in construction, especially if you want to stay employed. So I always tell the story of my dad. He was an operating engineer and he drove cats and scrapers, but you know what? He had bought a trailer and he actually pulled that trailer to different job sites throughout the state of California. And he made a very, very nice living by doing that. But again, he had to follow the jobs because they always weren't right here in the Sacramento area. Next slide. So again, the contact information, and then the contact person, which you can call and ask questions of the program. Applications. So the applications, this particular one, are continuous. Sometimes they're very limited. Sometimes they'll only give you particular months or dates that they'll accept an application. And then what type of a list? Is it ranked or unranked? And again, that would be ranked by how well you scored on an exam. And then veterans benefits. And this one says yes, because they've applied for and they're part of the VA recognized programs where you can draw your VA benefits from. So again, these are an open program and each one is different. You'll need to look at it. Depends upon what your interest is. Next slide. So with that, remember, there is a lot of support out there for you. I mean, your support network is the CalVet and CalTAP program, which we're on today. American Job Centers of California, AJCCs. Before you start any programs, what I would highly suggest is you find the AJCC in your area or the One Stop and go to them, register as your veteran, because if you get into an apprenticeship program, there may be some fees up front, like maybe it's union dues or something. They'll actually pay all of that for you. And if you need special clothing or tools, there may be a stipend that they will provide you with to pay for those items. So again, find that, the One Stop or the American Job Centers of California, register as a veteran, and then before you join a program, they may be able to assist you with funding for that. The other is the County Veteran Service Officers. Helmets to Hard Hats is another great program out there. Work for Warriors, Women's Veterans Alliance, Volunteers of America, and community colleges all have a veteran center. So if you're already looking at registering in a community college, go to the veteran centers and register there. And again, there's so many more out there that I can't even name them all. We wouldn't have enough time, but they're there to help you. you know, and I'm here to help you, and everyone that's Calvet and CalTAP are here to assist you to make sure your transition is excellent into the civilian life. Next slide. Okay, this is my direct information. And again, you can call me or email me. California, the state of California doesn't operate these programs. All we do is oversee them and promote them. So I can only help direct you to where you might find some information. Next slide. I'll turn it back over to Sean.
Thank you, Sir Charles. I really appreciate that. There's a lot of awesome information there. This is our question and answer segment. So we want to make sure to put some contact information up there for you. And I'll have my counterpart, Jana, come in and take over. Jana, were there some questions that came up during the webinar that you'd like to explore a little deeper with the guests today?
Hey, Sean. Yeah, there was one question that came in, and I know, Daniel, you already mentioned it, or you already answered it for the question or for the person already, but since all the attendees can't see that question and answer, I was going to read it out loud again and see if you could just go over your answer again, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes.
All right. So the question that someone asked was, it seems that the DVBE program is a vague term. Is this only for veteran business, which seeks contracts for certain bids on construction jobs?
So no, the answer is no. The DVBE is the Disabled Veteran Business Enterprise Program. And when I said the state has to spend 3% of all contracting dollars with DVBEs, that is everything. You can supply or offer pens, paper, computers, janitorial services, pest control services, landscaping, construction, anything the state buys. And if you're a DVBE, it's about you going out and reaching out to the advocates in the state departments to let them know that you're there and you offer certain products or services. And when it's time for them to utilize that goods or services, then they can contract with you. So it's not just construction, even though, yes, a big part of it, a lot of it is construction, but there's everything. You can supply everything from ammunition for CHP to car parts to services. The list is everything. Anything that you buy as a regular person, the state buys as well. The state needs the same products or services. So the answer is no, you can provide anything and everything to the state. Is there anything else, Sheree, that I missed?
Just one thing I would actually add is recently DGS has released an emergency contract registry or DVBE registry. So if you are a certified firm, you can join the registry, but you have to be readily available to provide your services or goods in the event of an emergency. I know with California, there are quite a bit of fires and then also just different natural disasters in which DVBEs can be utilized in the moment. So that is something that can be found on the DGS website, or I can actually, if you want to send us an email, we can send you some information in regards to that registry as well.
Great. Thank you, Daniel and Sheree. That was amazing information. And like they said, you guys you can sell anything to the state of California. So especially if you're able to be readily available, that's a really great program as well that you mentioned, Sheree.
Jen,
Go ahead.
I'm going to drop a link to the dashboards on DGS website.
Great.
And for anyone attending this, you can go in there and you can see exactly what the state buys, every department. And you can also see like the certificate or the small businesses and the DVBE spend. So you can go in there, search. There's 6 dashboards you can search on, and you can see everything that you are requesting. So it's everything the state buys, and review it. If you have any questions, please email us.
Great. Thank you for putting that in the chat. That's really helpful. And I've been putting a lot of information in the chat. And one of the other questions that we got a few times during the webinar was if you guys could have a copy of the PowerPoint slides. And I did put that in the chat just a moment ago, as well as the link to taking the survey, or you can just use the QR code that you guys see on your screen now. If you guys have never used a QR code, you just open up your camera on your phone, you hover over the QR code and a link will pop up that you can click on your phone. Other than that, that's really the only question that I got. Somebody else did ask for some other information, and I just asked them for their email address. So as soon as you send me your email address, I'll be able to get you some information on our Calvet regional offices. So other than that, Sean, I'm going to turn it back over to you. If we happen to get any more questions, I'll be sure to interrupt you. But other than that, I think we're good on the questions.
Thank you.
Of course.
Again, everyone's contact information is up here. So I just want to take another moment to thank Anthony and Cherie and Charles and Danielle, my teammate Jana, for coming out here today and presenting this information to everyone. These are the kind of tools and resources that most people just aren't going to know about, and having all of these different people come and give these presentations and give that information, it's really empowering, and it helps us as a community just understand and grow that much more. So I just want to say thank you to everybody for coming in and participating today. And again, for our participants out there, if you have questions that hit you back, just let us know. The information's out there, so we want to make sure that we're going to be with you throughout your entire journey as you're doing this. So thank you for your time, and thank you everyone for participating today. Are there any more questions coming into the questions and answers, Jenna?
No, I think that was it. I think we're good.
Okay, well, I have 4 minutes after, so at this time I will stop the presentation, and thank everyone again for their time.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.